Oh, hello there, guys, and welcome. This is Chicago Ted coming to you with the Manila Major Open Qualifiers. This is the second of the two Open EU brackets, and of course, I'm coming into it a little late. My apologies, but we are following Team Toast all the same. This one's going to be up against KDA, a well-known and feared stack, and even Team Toast shows a little bit of hesitation going up against this, but we'll see if they can power through that. As last time, yesterday, I think, they got knocked out in the round of 32 by E-Labs. Today, they're out for blood. They want to make it all the way. And, well, what better way to reel that in than by a victory here? So let me go ahead and make sure my open mic is on, because we want to be able to bring the in-game viewers into this one as well. Yep, there we go, the nice little white bubble. All right, guys. So coming into this game, it seems Team Toast, they've kind of revealed their style, at least to me. They love to run these hyper-aggressive lanes that also can take a step back and split push and farm if necessary. And usually the heroes that they will end up running are the Beastmasters, the Nature's Prophets, things like that. And they're even keen to run a jungler every now and then. Now, I'm not quite sure they'd go for the weaker lanes against a team like KDA, but it's certainly a possibility, and one that we have to watch out for, as the Earth Spirit, the Wraith King being banned out. Funny enough, Wraith King and Tinker actually have been making a resurgence recently, and it's kind of interesting to see how first it was Lich being taken out every single game, and then Lich kind of started going away, which I think has something to do with the nerf, but all in all, I don't think the hero changed, I guess, as drastically as what the pick ban order of the hero lets on to believe, but I personally think it was just because he came out in a weird time, but that doesn't matter right now. Beastmaster gets picked up not by Team Toast, but instead by KDA, and last time this happened, it was against E-Lab, and E-Lab ended up winning that matchup, although it did go quite a long time. I think we had an 80-minute game. Still, Team Toast, they keep their chops about them. They know how to play against them, and we'll see what they grab here. But Nature's Prophets in the pool, if they want to go for that. The Witch Doctors in the pool, if they want to grab that. If they want to go a little different, then they might be able to grab themselves a Brawling offlaner this time around, which, you know, wouldn't be too terrible of an idea. You know, your Faceless Voids, your Bat Riders, but they will end up going for the Nature's Prophet. Not the Witch Doctor as a second pick, though. They end up grabbing the Vengeful Spirit. So they're kind of, one, grabbing a good support. Like, you've always got to have that one support that everyone wants because they're very versatile, and Vengeful Spirit is probably one of the most versatile supports in the game at the moment. She doesn't have a whole lot of lockdown, but makes up for it in her ability to scale as a support into a more kind of quasi-carry role if need be. So with her and the Nature's Prophet picked up, this gives Team Toast that style they were looking for, the ability to have strong laners that can get really aggressive in the early game. Nature's Prophet, fantastic at ganking and becoming a problem, but also can scale well, can split push if need be, and can stop the action and farm if they feel they're falling behind. Exactly what they did in the last game, which I was not able to cover for reasons of oversleeping, but we won't care about that right now. Beastmaster, Invoker will be the two picks first and foremost for KDA. Just some standard stuff right here. Two picks that never really changed from the last patch into this one, and I'm still super excited to see Beastmaster as popular as he is. One of my personal favorite heroes in the game, just because of how much he can offer his team at any given point. The Primal Roar, always a good lockdown no matter what the enemy team's got, and his ability to push and control a lane if you don't draft something up to snuff. I mean, Beastmaster, if you grab a 2v1 or, God help you, a 1v1 lane against this guy, he will show you why you don't do that. So I like the Vengeful Spirit pick against a Beastmaster. It's one of the more feared supports just because of her ability to bring down the boar. Another one which kind of gets overlooked sometimes, but the issue with her is, well, there are other issues with her, is the Crystal Maiden, because she has the ability of pretty much immediately killing the boar whenever she wants to. And it's at the cost of using her lockdown, but the boar being one of the most important things about Beastmaster in the lane, it's really good to have that hero to be able to take it away. And if it was last patch, I'd say the OD would be a good pick here because he also demolishes the board, but without as much of a commitment, though OD has his own issues, which kind of stemming from the patch, but also I don't think teams really liked him coming at the end of last patch either. But that's just me, my observations. We're coming into the next pick, and Night Stalker being rightfully so banned as the second or the third ban for KDA. I don't know what it is about that hero. It's just the fact that right now I feel like heroes that at certain given points of time can just roam around and be aggressive way ahead of other heroes at the same given level and item choices. So what I'm saying is 5 minutes, this guy is stronger than anyone else on the map. 5, right? Yeah, 5 is nighttime. 4 is the most important nighttime, I think, for the Night Stalker. But just that sheer power he holds. I mean, he's got an insane nuke with an insane nuke with mini stun, and when it's nighttime, a very long level 1 silence. I mean, it's what, 6 seconds at level 1? No, I'm definitely not getting that right, but whatever it is a very long level 1 silence. So you put a value point into it, and when the first night comes around, you just go for it. And they can't do anything to you. They're slowed, they've got the miss chance, they've got the silence, they turn to fight, they're not going to win. If they try to run, they're not going to get away. It's usually, to counter his style, you've got to group up. But it doesn't matter right now because he's taken out. Zeus will be taken away, Enchantress and Bounty Hunter, all 3 of those being more popular from the last patch, so a little bit of residual, but also they're still pretty strong. Wind Ranger being the pick, sort of a cheese strat, but also not really. It's a very synergetic hero with a Nature's Prophet, being able to sprout and shackle anyone. So you've got the global potential from the Nature's Prophet to come in and gank. Wind Ranger will throw out the shackle, because she was already there, and then things go very south for whoever they picked off. And, well, it looks like they do go for the Enigma pick. I think I called before the picking even started that they have the option to grab the jungler, but I wasn't quite sure they'd do it. Well, here we go. Solon will be able to pull out his insane Enigma play, and every single time I see him play this, right, it doesn't come down to the black holes. The black holes are almost an afterthought for the hero. And I know I feel like a broken record saying this because everyone said this, but it's the threat of the black hole. It's knowing that at any given point in time, if that Enigma steps a little bit too close to your team, you're all done for. And that means that everything has to be used to stop this Enigma. And I've seen it time and time again. The Enigma gets a little bit too close for comfort, and all of a sudden, the enemy team makes the call to get rid of the Enigma. So you see spells get used, you see focus get shifted, the Enigma has to be brought down. And what that leaves is everyone else on the Enigma's team to come in and aid. And quite possibly win the fight even without the black hole. Now, if you are unlucky enough to let the black hole off, then that's an entirely different story. And I've seen that happen too. But Solon will be going into that comfort pick. Surprised he isn't on the Vengeful Spirit. I don't think Venge is the greatest support to have as a 5 position, but it's certainly not a terrible idea. So Steph Style should be able to pull out all the stops on this one. But I'm feeling like it's going to be an E-Skills Wind Ranger, and it's definitely Kefka on the Nature's Prophet. Now, if they want to switch things up and send Flens on the Nature's Prophet or Wind Ranger, run either of them as a carry, why not? But at this point, they want to put strength in their lanes. They want to make sure they don't do anything that could threaten their ability to at least break even in the laning stage. Because, again, this is a jungler. This is an Enigma. You're fighting 4v5 from the get-go, and even with a perfect jungling phase, that's going to last about 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes before the Enigma comes out. The one thing that they have going for them is that there's no Enchantress, no Bounty Hunter, no one to invade Enigma's jungle. So with that in mind, KDA will grab themselves a Sven and look to farm themselves up. I don't think they're going to be planning any expeditions into Team Toast jungle to stop the Enigma's farm, but they're looking more for a they don't care if he farms style, because they've got a stun from Sven, they've got a stun from Beastmaster, a stun from Witch, Disruptor, Invoker. They've got everything they need to be able to quickly dispatch of the Enigma's black hole and then continue the fight. Because once the Enigma's down, yes, he's got quite a few powerful spells to follow up, but it's not like he is insanely important once the black hole is down. So, at the moment, I do like how KDA have responded to this pick. I think it's going to be fantastic to watch how they play around the Enigma, but I also like to see Team Toast kind of fade back into that style that was so much fun to watch in the first few games of the Open Qualifier in the last round. So we'll see. This last pick, they're going to be going for what looks to be a carry pick, and knowing Flens, it's probably going to be something a little bit more in line with the meta. Maybe we'll see the Juggernaut come out from him, or last game he played a, okay, well I was going to say a Lifestealer because the Nature's Prophet gank potential. It's going to be a Slardar though, so maybe it won't be as a meta-oriented, but it does offer a lot against the Sven, it does offer a lot against the Beastmaster, being able to reduce them from high HP, high armor targets to high HP, low armor targets, which, you know, Windranger's going to have a field day with, and of course Slardar not too shabby with his physical damage output either. So we're coming out, the drafts are completed, the game is ready to go. We've got Team Toast taking on KDA. For those of you just joining us, this is Chicago Ted coming to you live with this match from the ticket. So if you want to go ahead and check this one out in game, might have enough viewers to drop down some item drops. I actually don't know how that works anymore. It's been so long since I've focused on how in-game item drops work. But whatever the case, this game is going on in game. I implore you to check it out. Or if you're in game and want to catch the stream, hitbox.tv/TedCast. So we've got a smoke up now coming out from Team Toast and making their way around the jungle. Looks like they want to do a backstab maneuver first and foremost to get the ball rolling early. And, you know, this heavy, hyper-aggressive style can pay off, but they've got to get a couple of kills to make it worth it. Otherwise, they're sitting on the opposite side of the map when the bell rings. They've got to take a lot of time commitment to get back to their lanes, but it looks like they will find nearly everyone with this backstab attempt. Massacre goes in with a paralyzing cast, but Steph Style, he's only stunned by the initial bounce. No bounces out. The Stormhammer to follow up. They've got the first blood. And it looks like they will be able to pull the bounty rune off that, but I definitely feel like they wish there was more. No one else in the vicinity, although Flens, he's kind of scouting things out right now, being a little curious as to where KDA have gone after this first blood attempt. Doesn't seem to be finding anyone, though, as KDA are all back and ready to go. So they will make their way back to the lanes. This is kind of the walk of shame I was talking about, going to the top lane and taking a lot of time to do so, but they will be there by about the same time the creeps meet each other, so nothing really lost. They got their first blood, they got their bounty rune, and the game will start out with a slight advantage for KDA. So E-Skills will be taking up the mid lane, going up against Koods, the Invoker versus Windranger matchup, one that we're not too unfamiliar with from the last patch. We've seen it quite a bit, and I would say that I favor the Windranger just a little bit in the early game, but that's mostly because while the Invoker can farm, the Windranger's got much better attack damage in the early parts of the game and should be able to get quite a few clutch denies, kind of hindering the Invoker's early experience before the Invoker starts to find his stride. But top lane, Kefka could be in a bit of trouble. They do not have a glimpse. They just have the Lightning Strike. Paralyzing Cask not really bouncing the way they need it to, but even if it did bounce right back, I'd struggle to find a way that Kefka goes down there. Still, he'll go right back in, aggressive as always. It is not going to be a boots first Nature's Prophet. Kind of surprising considering he is going up against the tri-lane, but he opts for the Null Talisman, his damage making up for the lack of movement speed. But just like that, I mean, a kill attempt happens in the top lane, nothing really comes of it, and we'll go right back to a farming style. Koods starting to find his stride. He's got his Forge Spirit helping out with the CS. Hasn't really found that much success, but again, that will start to change as time goes on. Depending on who comes into gank, it's going to be Massacre looking for the first one. Drops an Observer Ward to spot out E-Skills' movement, but he's not going to end up going for it. Instead, being a nuisance, making sure he keeps vision for his team, as Koods could be in a bit of trouble here. E-Skills, he's got a power shot in 2 seconds, but Koods with the salve won't be able, or won't be giving up his life just yet. Power shot flies through, does connect, cancels the salve, but in comes the cold snap. E-Skills is going to pop into the wind run now, turns around, brings down the Forge Spirit. Could continue to fight here, but it looks like he will play this one safe. No mana to continue moving, just looking for some CS and a little bit of harass. as Flens, very easy, very safe lane in the bottom. Not worried about Zacho at all. It's more or less going to be a free lane for this Slardar until Steph Style starts to gank. Beastmaster notoriously good at 1v1 matchups, but for right now, he will have to struggle a little bit against the potential of the Boar harass, the potential of Azako running straight at him, but Steph Style being there for now. Oh no! Hail Rake! He'll get the kill out on a Kefka in the top lane. Do we yet have boots? We do have boots, so I imagine... Yeah, that was a glimpse. Glimpse back, right back. And Kefka can't really do anything about that. If he tries to TP away, the glimpse will more than likely cancel the TP. Tries to do anything else, and, well, he is almost in the grave if the Disruptor can find him. So, no surprise he dies, though he will go right back to the jungle and farm up his hard camp. I think he might be a little wary making his way back into this lane. Between Glimpse and Paralyzing Cask, there really is no way for him to survive if they are able to catch him. So he might be just go straight into the jungle, but Salen's already there. It's going to be tough, I think, for them to recover that Nature's Prophet. He could try and go for that cliff jungle that he's so famous for doing in the past couple of games, puts himself up here and tries to bring down some Ancients, but for now, looks like he will try to find what farm he can in that small alcove of the map. 2-0 at 4 minutes. Nothing too surprising as far as CS goes. Hail Rake and Flens both keeping up with each other on opposite sides of the map, making sure that neither falls too far behind, and that's going to make sure that when the carries start becoming a major factor in this game, neither one's going to be gimped to the point where they're less effective than the other. I think both have a very strong early game presence. Maybe Flens a little bit more so because of his physical damage reduction and his ability to increase his movement speed, getting up close and personal to the enemy. Sven relying a bit more on a stun than the Slardar, I believe, but we'll have to wait for that moment to come. I imagine the carries might start ganking this game because of how much focus is on the early game. As there's a glimpse back, E-Skill's in a bit of trouble here. We'll look to try to turn around with a Shackle, but there's nothing to save him. A couple of Treants making their way in through the river, but they will not be able to accomplish all that much. Kefka will go right back up to the top lane. Hail Rake's there, not yet level 6, but the moment he hits it, I think he can go in just for a quick solo kill. It's certainly possible. Kefka, one Stormhammer, it is going to be a level 2, so Hail Rake kind of going for a jack of all trades, master to none build style, where he levels both his cleave for the farming and his Stormhammer for the bonus damage that it deals. But right now, he'll hold off, work towards that level 6. A nice stack for him. He should be able to clear between cleave, and if he wants to commit a Stormhammer, he can. Looks like he will hold off for now. Meanwhile, House looks like Flens is actually struggling quite a bit, and I think that's to say that Zacho has been putting a lot of pressure on him in this bottom lane. We see Steph Style has been taking more of a jungle approach this game, leaving a 1v1 lane, which we talked about, Beastmaster being able to find his own in and start to control more than he would in a 1v2 or even a 1v3 situation. And Beastmaster is one of the best at it too. Like, you can see him start to pull, start to not really care about where the enemy is, because he knows he's not really in any threat of dying anytime soon. He'll run face first into Salen, though, who will scout out this movement. This is an invisibility rune. It looks like they will try to make a go up on the top lane. Steph Style, the Shackle, saving Steph. Massacre will go down first. Ibashu looking to bring down Steph. In the meantime, the glimpse back. Steph should be dropping as E-Skill slowed down by the Boar. Second Boar cast. They've got the movement speed there, but Salen will make his move now. Shackle comes out, but won't latch. Looks like it was very close to grabbing Abusha, but it will not connect there. And although Team Toast get themselves on the board with that one, they will lose Steph Style for the trouble, picking up only Massacre as their consolation. I'm not sure a support for a support trade is exactly what they're looking for, but considering the circumstances, I'm sure they're happy to at least get themselves up on the board, give E-Skills at least proximity to a kill and help him out. But Coots is still holding his own in the lane. You see the last hitting is a lot more even now, but that's mostly because, relatively speaking, the higher the numbers are. If they're 5 away when one's got 1, one's got 6, it's a lot more pronounced than when they're 5 away and one's got 34 and one's got 39. But there is going to be a gank up into the top lane. Abusha and Massacre, they're looking for Kefka. In comes the Sven, Hailrake looking out, Stormhammer, God Strength. They cut the trees, they've got the Sunstrike. Calculated kill without too much commitment. I mean, God Strength, yeah, it's a commitment, but they're going to use it to push down the tower, which is an alright use for it anyway. It's a 70-second cooldown spell, and Hailrake, he's got enough to be useful without it, as Koods will drop into the mid lane. Wow, alright. A little bit too focused on the Sven there. Sven and Beastmaster are two of my favorite heroes in the game, so excuse me if I've got a little bit of bias when talking about them, but Koods going down to the mid lane, that's a pretty important kill, and I kind of slapped myself to miss it, but the most important thing here is that I don't think E-Skill's got the kill. No, he still has 2 assists, so while it's a great kill for Team Toast to have, it may have been a little bit better. Looking like it did go to Solon, though, which, I mean, isn't all that bad, all things considered. Solon will be able to make his way back to the jungle, have a mechanism out, and a decent time. I mean, what does he have? Just a recipe for the buckler, so not yet the recipe for the mech itself, but getting dangerously close to it. And considering he can just go straight back to the jungle, farm up the difference, and be in the fight in a very short amount of time. I mean, 134 seconds may seem like a long time right now, but at the moment that's up, he's going to be going dead on in, looking for a kill. And even before that, if he can grab a mechanism. As we see a massive Ancient Stack now being generated, with help from Beastmaster using his board to continue these stacks, but this is a good 800 to 1,000 gold just sitting there for Hailrake. And again, that might seem in the grand scheme of things like not a whole lot, but at 9 minutes, that is a huge surge of gold, which will put him towards his next major item, whether it be a Sanjin Yasha, the Blink, or just a fast BKB, which I don't exactly expect, but yeah, God Strength popped, as is pretty standard for Svens when they're trying to take stacks like this. Just look at the income. All of the numbers flying around like fireworks. Hailrake will pull together. Okay, I think I strongly underestimated. That was more like 1,600 gold. Was I not accounting for an extra stack in there? Probably. 2,000 now in his inventory. Oh, Jesus. This is a Sven who is looking rather farmed at the moment. As we'll see, Kefka looking to try to accomplish the same thing in his own jungle. But at the moment, he will be going for his own farm. Steph style, pushing the bottom lane with the help of Solon. The mechanism's not quite out yet, but he'll still be putting the aggression on. And we're about 5 minutes after when we usually see a push like this in the bottom tier 1 tower, but all things considered, it's still a tier 1 push, and if they can get this, then it's a good amount of gold for them to have. Now, it's quite on par across their entire team with what Sven just pulled out from the stack. It's still, gold is gold. As Hailrake, he'll pull out the Yasha. It will be the Sanjin Yasha build-up for him. Pretty standard stuff. As Steph style, is he going to make his way into the jungle, maybe look to block this camp? I really hope he tries for it. He will do it. Okay, I can't see the spawn boxes. I feel like that should be an enabled thing for casters, because I could probably guess and say that that does block it, but I feel like this cliff should be a hard boundary. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see when the minute mark comes out. The fact that camp has not spawned yet when Steph Star was standing there probably tells us all we need to know. Kefka scouting out Sven, Hailrake with his Treants. The rest of them, the smoke will pop when going for the backstab. Kefka, I guess, feeling a little safe now that the smoke was scouted, as not Hailrake. It looks like Evil Art. Oh, okay, that's who Evil Arthas is. I know he was playing in this game, but I was not totally sure which one it was. My bad, guys. My fault for not being that well versed in all the teams. But Evil Arthas, thank you for correcting me, whoever it was. Tier 2 tower now under a lot of stress. The many Eidolons are knocking it down, and the minus armor from the Blightstone too. This, I don't think enough people give this item credit, but I could be wrong. I might just be not hearing the amount of praise it's getting, because what an item. I mean, Enigma's jungling potential did get nerfed in the way that attack damage worked and armor types worked as far as neutral creeps and summons are concerned, but the Blightstone not only fixes that, but now his push is even scarier than it was before. And you see Solon every single game will pick up the Blightstone from the fountain just because of the amount of speed it gives him in the jungle, the amount of pressure he can put on towers with it. And right there, I mean, they get a tier 1, they get a tier 2, and nothing of value was lost for them anywhere else. Like, this is the amount of push that you require from your Enigma. And once he hits that critical point where he can be across the map, push, help his team, drop black holes, which, speaking of, it's up right now, that's when things get dicey for the enemy. And they weren't able to put pressure on him because of how the draft works. They were trying to farm themselves up, and we'll have yet to see if that strategy is going to work out for them, as I imagine the next couple of fights will be breaking out very soon. Team Toast, not a team to pressure the Roche Pit before they get all the outer towers down, so I don't think the fight will take place around there. More than likely, we'll see a push on a tower result and a sort of quasi-team fight, but if there's one thing Team Toast is really good at, it's avoiding and farming. So they'll find pickoffs, sure, but they're not going to risk themselves in a full 5-on-5 if they don't absolutely think they can win it. But at the same time, they've got to be sure that they do not let KDA farm themselves a little bit too much, because a Sven in the late game is probably one of the scarier carries. I mean, he's by no means the hardest late game carry, but he certainly acts like it with the amount of damage he can output in a short amount of time. As Massacre, they'll scout the smoke, but it looks like they're not phased. They'll go straight on in. Primal Roar out onto Flen's the Sunstrike, dealing a bit of damage, but he's not dead yet. And comes a TP out from Kefka, but it will be canceled as he opts to go ahead and split push in this time. E-Skills moving forward, looking for more kills as Kuz will back away around the trees, canceling the vision. His own bird scouting out his positioning as Solon and E-Skills will start to lay into the tower. There's the minus armor going to work. The focus fire dealing a whole lot. Flens with that blink dagger. He's searching, hunting for kills as and comes Evil Arthas. Abusha and Kuz, they want to try to make things happen, but they instead go for a tower deny and will miss it. Glimpse back. Solon is going to be the sacrificial lamb here. He might be able to turn around and go for a black hole, but no. He is way too dead, way too quick. And so the tier 2 will go down, not a deny. And all that Team Toast lose is Solon as they push up the top tier 1 tower. The split push is crumbling KDA's side of the map. They'll move in, get a whole lot of objectives for nothing. Only one tier 2 tower remains, and it's one on the opposite side of the Roche Pit. They may be able to try to sneak one out underneath KDA's nose in a short amount of time, but when going up against a Beastmaster, you've got to be aware that at any given point, if you're trying to Roche, there might be a bird scouting you out. So that might be one of the reasons why not only have they not gone for it yet, I already told you the primary reason why they haven't gone for it yet, but also why they may not go for it anytime soon. But still, they'll farm Flens up. His recipe coming out is going to be a Hand of Midas for Flens. I can think of quite a few people who would absolutely hate this decision, but it makes sense when considering Flens might think that this game isn't going to be too easy to end. So consider you're in the lead, and you know that you've got to push high ground or things might get dicey in the late game. But you also know that pushing high ground is going to be near impossible to do against a team like KDA's in the early game, because they have a decent early game turtle that may or may not fall off later on, depending on how well they're able to control Evil Arthas and Kuz. But when you get Hand of Midas, this sort of solidifies your lead, because you're already an item ahead, so this kind of puts you on par item-wise, but it also accelerates your farm beyond belief. And you consider who he's got to farm against. He's got to farm against this Sven. And if there's one thing Slardars do not have, it's the ability to out-farm a Sven. So Evil Arthas, he will be able to keep himself ahead if the farming speed remains as it is. And that's why Flens, I imagine, has decided to go for this Hand of Midas, is to be sure that he, at the very least, is able to keep somewhat of a par going on between his farm and Arthas's. Another ancient stack. Hail Rake, or Evil Arthas is raking it in. I mean, his net worth is through the roof right now, sporting well over a 500 GPM, 2,400 gold in his inventory after the Echo Saber and the Yasha. Is going to drop himself into a blink, so will not complete the Sanjin Yasha for now. In fact, only using the Yasha for what I imagine is the attack speed. He's figuring all of his damage in the early game can come from the God Strength, if need be. But it will be a smoke attempt. The birds trying to scout things out. Solin in a bit of trouble. Kuz, Zako, Massacre, they're all moving around. Solin making the right call, right move to go back towards his middle lane. And if a fight breaks out, it's very close to the tier 1 tower. No, Flint is going to make a wraparound gank, looking to try to smoke on the smoked. But there is no smoke for them. The tornado comes out. It will catch Flens, who is able to get himself just barely out with the swap coming out. Step Style will pay for this, but the Shackle will latch Evil Arthas and Kuz. Kefka moving in from the back lines. They're looking to lock Arthas, and they will be able to bring him down. Now turn for more Massacre. They've got the magic missile out. It's a buyback, actually, from Step Style, I believe, as Flens will move in for a Bushka. It's not quite a focused team fight here. Neither team, or no one really taking the full brunt of the aggression, but Kefka will move forward. Out comes the Sprout. They've locked Massacre in, and he can turn and try to fight as best as he can. But there's no way he's getting out from that one alive. And Team Toast, they'll use this time to go straight in for the Roche Pit and threaten the big guy himself. There is going to be a bird to scout it out, but there is no absolute way that Kuz is going to be able to make his way in and pull out an insane deny. Sometimes you can use a Blink Dagger, throw a Tornado out, blink in, steal the Roche, and maybe pop into Ghost Walk, but there's a certain point when you have to realize that it is long gone, and that point was what just happened. There is going to be an Aegis Immortality on E-Skills. Flens, that Hand of Midas already starting to boost up his net worth. You can see he's about the middle of the board right now, which isn't the greatest position for a carry, but that will start to get better and better for him. As we can see, already Team Toast have pulled themselves out a 5,000 net worth advantage despite the farming speed of Evil Arthas and Kuz, and just now will cross the threshold into a point of power as far as experience goes. It's not much, but it's certainly something to look back and say, hey, they're doing pretty well right now. KDA might have to look to... I don't know if fighting's going to be their thing. I certainly know that last smoke gank, if it had found the right targets at the right time, could have gone way differently. But I certainly think that Evil Arthas can farm really quickly, and he's got to be sure he does that. As his attempt to block out the camp, as it looks, Massacre was able to deward that quickly. But with that said, I like what Toast has been trying to do. They've been keeping on top of it, making sure that ancient camp is blocked more times than not. And though there have been a couple of stacks going the way of Evil Arthas in the meantime, it certainly is not as bad. Okay, it was pretty bad, having a triple and I think it was like a quad or a 5 stack that he got at first. But for the moment, keeping pressure on here, just make sure that whatever happens, Team Toast know that they're trying their best to keep on top of it. Now, they should know that the camp is not being blocked right now, but there's really nothing they can do about it, short of sending someone's body over there to block it themselves. But Kefka up in the top lane. He went for the Maelstrom, opting for some push, figuring, I guess, that he's going to be split pushing more often than fighting. But he could very well be dead in just a moment. They're moving in with Ibusha, and yeah, the blink in from Hailrake, looking to try to get himself out of there. There will be the kinetic field, looking for vision, but Kefka, he's already juked down to the north. Now the rest of his team will make their move. The boots of travel in, E-Skills shackle out, and Arthas is caught. Solin's there. They've got the black hole if need be. They don't even need to spend it. Arthas will try to turn and fight, but his fate is sealed. The shackle locking him in to 50 seconds inside of his own fountain. Meanwhile, Solin will push forward, looking for a bit more of a push off this one. Tier 2's already down, but that leaves high ground. And without Evil Arthas there to defend, that is one major key component of KDA's lineup down the drain. I mean, he is about a third of their total net worth. Him being down puts KDA at a severe disadvantage. Now, there's only 20 seconds that Team Toast have to accomplish this push, and Kuz will most likely have his say trying to delay it as much as possible. But for right now, eSkills moves forward, using that glyph or that Aegis to his advantage, and will just focus fire down the tower. The glimpse back will halt a little bit, but I'm not quite sure what they entirely wanted to accomplish there with that. Regardless, it seems the push will not complete. As expected, 30 seconds was plenty of time for Arthas to come back, but they're able to get a little bit of damage on the tower, and I think that, more than taking an objective, sends a message. It lets KDA know that if they lose another team fight, their base is most likely going to go down. So getting picked off is not an option here, and Arthas, he will still, I think, farm out aggressively. I mean, it's a Sven. He usually is going to be able to do that. Nothing short of a 5-man gank, which is what happened last time, is going to be a guaranteed kill on him. But he also now will have some of his team behind his back. I think they're going to play this a little bit more carefully. Know that if there is an initiation on Arthas, they are prepared to throw bodies in and look to counter the initiation with their own fight. And that's what's important about this, as, okay, that was a kill I was not expecting to happen. I gotta be perfectly honest. There really shouldn't be a reason Enigma is that deep inside the jungle with a Beastmaster scouting him out, but well played on KDA to recognize that the Enigma was a little bit out of position. They immediately go in, and Arthas is able to exact his revenge by way of God Strength and Stormhammer. Like, those are more than enough to kill half the heroes on this map right now. Kuz will pick himself up the Aghanim Scepter. This is a pretty decently timed 123 minutes with the Blink Dagger having already been completed. And this Ags, with the maxed out Exhort now, is going to give him so much magical damage. It's really not even funny. Okay, it's pretty funny how much he can do, but without Eul's to be the easy initiator, he's got to focus a lot more on his spells, having the right thing cast at the right time. E-skills will now move into the trees, will throw out the shackle, but doesn't connect. Arthas does not have God Strength, though, so fighting is going to be a tough task for him. Kefka will make his move in. They're still splitting out, making sure the Stormhammer doesn't catch any more than one of them at a time. The power shot through, the shackle, they've got Arthas. He does not have buyback. Once again, Kefka dropping pretty low, but won't be brought down. There was a death ward committed as a black hole onto Kuz. They lock him in, but can they bring him down? They've got the focus fire. They've got the slithering crush. They've got everything to knock him down a peg. 60 seconds without your invoker. Kuz is gone. Arthas is gone. No lane really pushing that deep in, though, for Toast. Of course, the top or the bottom lane being an exception. This may mean that Toast are not going to be quite able to finish out the game just yet. But dear God, if that doesn't send a very, very dire message to KDA. I mean, losing a fight out like that. Of course, a lot can be said that the God Strength was down and the black hole was committed for it. But that just shows the power. I think the Sprout Shackle was definitely a major factor in bringing Arthas down. But also, I think a little bit, not just indecisiveness, but I don't think I saw a lot of commitment coming out from the supports. Of course, the Death Ward was committed, but I struggled to see anything that Abusha was doing, nothing short of maybe a glimpse here and there, but when you're losing a team fight, a glimpse doesn't exactly do anything. Maybe saves a teammate's skin, but it's not like you can chase someone down and get a return kill. Of course, Static Storm is still up as well. That's a very necessary spell, and he might be saving it to cancel the black hole, but that black hole went as long as it needed to go, and will be up again in about 100 seconds. KDA, they're looking, they're trying. They've got to make something happen very soon, or I fear they're going to get snuffed out. They're going to get out-farmed, even with Arceus on this Sven, who I gotta say is still pulling out all the stops here. He's got the Black King Bar recipe. He should be able to pull out the BKB soon, but we're 26 minutes in. He's going to need it very soon, and a smoke gank, maybe a kill is what's going to be needed to boost up that speed, as E-skills could be a huge kill here. Still farming. In comes the Stormhammer, God Strength cast, and they've got everything to throw at him. However, the Meatball committed will be off the mark. They drop down the Primal Roar. That puts a whole lot on cooldown, but also gives them plenty of time. I mean, E-skills being down doesn't want to buy back and certainly doesn't have to. But that leaves a lot of time for KDA to farm up their own jungle, pull back some map control that they were so quickly losing, and make sure that they keep Arthas at the top of the net worth. He's there by about 2,000 gold ahead of Kefka, but he needs to be more. He strives to be more. And 1,500 gold in his bank account is certainly giving him quite a bit more, but that BKB is going to have to come out soon. Meanwhile, there is a shackle, not a shackle, a sprout onto Kuz. He'll drop the ice wall, not really catching anyone in it. But meanwhile, the Static Storm trying to make something happen. Death Ward committed in the mid lane by the river, but Arthas not quite able to find anything. Sunstrike, it does connect. Steph style caught in the trees. Meanwhile, back in the river, Kuz in a bit of trouble. He's being bashed up, a double bash. Everything they could possibly need to bring the Invoker down and more. Very lucky bashes coming out from Flens, but in the end, that's a 2-for-1. A core and an offlaner for a support. Not really a trade that KDA want, but they're not, I don't think they're really worried about trades right now. They're worried about buying themselves time. And the more time they've got where the team is keeping Team Toast at bay, the more time that Evil Arthas is farming up. And he should be pulling in the finished BKB and 1 or 2 creep waves. And that BKB is going to be hugely important. No shackle is going to lock him down. They can still get him with the Sprout. They can still hit him with an amplified damage and bash him as much as they need to. And hell, even a black hole might need to be committed. But for all intents and purposes, normal stuns and magic damage will have no effect on him. And that will give him mostly free reign unless Team Toast are willing to commit all but the most important spells onto him, which at this point, yeah, it's really, you've got to do, but they drop a solo black hole on Evil Arthas, then they are really going to struggle to keep that black hole running first and foremost, but also to try to control the other team, because once that black hole's down, the threat of it coming back is gone, unless he's got a Refresher's Orb. Does he even have the mana to support? Even if he does, yeah, I think he's got just about enough mana, but not for anything else. There is a normal gank attempt, not a smoke, so they're doing this in full vision with an Observer Ward from Team Toast up on the high ground. They know their movement, but he doesn't really care. Evil Arthas will go in the swap back, saving Solon's life for now, but Stepstyle will go down in the meantime. They've got the black hole. It catches 3. In comes Flens with a bash to follow up on 2. But the damage is just not enough. Evil Arthas moving forward. He wants to bring down Flens. The BKB not saving the Slardar. They will get the kill. And just like that, Roshan's back up. However, top racks in a bit of trouble. The Glimpse back, bringing Kefka in. Is this going to be a wipe? It looks like it. The Glyph being spent. Kefka using this time to just try and bring down the racks. He'll go for the TP, but his Treeps, they might be enough. One more swipe from the collective, and they get the ranged racks. So though they lose everyone, and they're going to lose the Roshan, at least they got something out of it. More of a Pyrrhic victory than anything, as that is not exactly a trade they want to be making. But map control's map control, I guess. But what an insane black hole. It's just, they weren't able to follow up as well as they needed to. First of all, I think Enigma had to have lived a little bit longer in that fight. But that's beside the point. Bringing down Evil Arthas at the moment is a very tough task. One that is left solely, I think, to E-skills on this Windranger. Because, yeah, Solon, he deals a lot of damage, or Flens deals a lot of damage. But you saw what he was struggling with there. He's got no real major items aside from an attack speed item, which is the Hand of Midas, one of the more inefficient attack speed items you can get. But he's got nothing to boost up that damage. So while he can try as he might to attack, the majority of the damage is going to be coming out from E-skills. And the minus armor, incredibly important. But the amount of time between when the black hole came out and when they were going to be able to follow up was a little bit too great to make things happen there. So it's looking like we've got Zacho moving around behind the bend, looking to find his Primal Roar and start the fight. He'll blink forward. E-skills cannot die. Stepstyle once again sacrificing himself as E-skills will run away. But meanwhile, Solon is pushing out the top lane. Kefka is pushing out the bottom. And I'm not sure if KDA have rightfully called the Exterminator yet, because the rats are taking control of their base. They'll move back. It looks like Abusha is going to be the sole defender for now, but it's going to be enough to force the Treants back, and the rest of them will follow suit. So, again, we talked about this in the draft. We talked about the style that Team Toast would be able to pull out in these games. If things start to go sour, this is what they do. They move out across the map. They deny KDA the chance to safely push without repercussions. And Kefka, he's still hanging out very aggressive inside of KDA's jungle, though he'll have to back out very soon. But we'll just go right back to farming. After that last fight, though, we can see a considerable dip in the net worth graph. About 10,000 net worth in favor of Team Toast is cut to 2,500. Experience now in favor of KDA. And that's no surprise. I mean, that last fight was huge. They killed everyone on Team Toast. Did I say Tinker? I think I said Team Tinker before. Oh boy. But they killed everyone on Team Toast and did not lose a single thing. Of course, I mean, if you want to count the ranged racks as a thing, yeah, that's kind of important to lose, but it's not like they lost a melee racks, which is a lot worse to get rid of, and even 2 sets of racks would have been something more notable. So again, they lost very little for that team fight, but they gained so much out of it. They now have the ability, first of all, Boots of Travel on Koods means that no matter what happens, they're most likely going to have someone who can return to the fray, and I imagine each and every one of them at this point are holding on to a TP scroll, short of Evil Arthas, who is a Sven. Usually, if you're a greedy carry, you won't have a TP, but in a game like this, it almost begs the question whether or not he's going to need one, and if it comes down to it, if it's going to have a profound impact on the outcome of this game. But you could always get a Boot to Travel, and the one issue with that is you reduce a lot of your attack speed. But he's got the MKB, he's got the Sanjin Yasha. His attack speed really isn't struggling at the moment, and if you really wanted to, you buy yourself a Moon Shard, you consume it. There, the lack of treads is no longer having an effect on your attack speed. So with that said, he will hold on to about 1,000 gold. Won't have buyback because of this, but he'll be able to hold on to it very shortly if he continues to keep his farming speed up. This is what I like to see, though. A smoke coming out from KDA. They want to take this aggression. They want to push it further. They'll move in, though. Flens will be their target. Sunstrike out. He is most certainly dead, but maybe they can find more. Solin, he gets hit by the paralyzing cast, trying to run through the low ground, but they've got vision. They'll put him back in. He'll pop a BKB just to stay alive through it all. And you can tell immediately after that fight broke out, Kefka is now up or down to the bottom lane and starting his push, starting to try to wrap things out, but it might be a little bit too slow. Stepstyle in a bit of trouble. In comes the Deafening Blast up into the high ground, but the damage over time from the Meteor will be enough to bring him down. That doesn't seem to phase KDA that their bottom racks is being pushed, or at least their bottom lane is being pushed, because it just is not quite fast enough. There will be a buyback as Flens makes his way back into the game, and the disengaged, I think they're looking to try to cancel some TPs. Kefka moves forward. Kuz will already try for his TP, and to his invisibility, will be able to do so without fear of it getting canceled. But the rest of them backing off, and Team Toast, they know this. They've got to try something here. They've got to bring them down. Abasha, or Abashu, very close to dying. He will move down south. The Glimmer Cape helping him for only a short amount of time. Flens chasing him up onto the high ground. The amplified damage is going to help him keep some vision up. And he should be able to get the kill here with the kinetic field only serving as a little bit of a dying wish to throw out. But desperate as it was not going to be enough to save his life. There is a buyback available, though, on Abashu. And he can come back into this game if need be. But pushing into this is so hard. Solon, he's got a BKB up, though. I think he's looking for it right now. He's trying to find the potential for a kill. We have his Evil Arthas. He does still have his Gothic. Didn't use it. As Flens moves up, there is going to be the Aurora on to E-skills. They aren't going to be enough, though. Solon comes in. Black Hole's out. They catch Arthas. Can they kill him, though? The focus fire. It's not quite enough yet, but he's caught. He's caught in the Sprout, and he will get brought down because of it. Koods moves forward. He's looking for some revenge. Solon is there, though. The Shackle will catch him. They've got the damage. He will buy back immediately. But Arthas, we talked about it. He doesn't have his buyback. 70 seconds out of the match. And Kefka, he put a little bit of pressure onto the bottom lane as he brings down the Tier 3 tower. Tier 3 mid is looking rather unhealthy. What a fight for Team Toast to take. Of course, Arthas, I don't think he really cares about being dead. He's still at the top of the net worth, but that lead is slowly being encroached upon by, you guessed it, Kefka, who has been doing nothing but pushing as best as he can and making sure that things aren't going to go the way of KDA. I mean, every single time it seems like they can find an advantage from a fight, they can't really push off of it. And that last one, they, by all intents and purposes, lost the fight and nearly lost another lane of Rex. So this is the power that we talked about, having these summons units, having the jungler gives you with the push, having the Nature's Prophet gives you with the push. At this point, I mean, though Kefka, very good Beastmaster player, that also leads you to believe that he knows the kinks of this hero. He knows exactly how to work against it. And one of the primary things that have been so good coming out from Team Toast is their ability to save the person who's been initiated on. Steph style, on point nearly each and every time with these nether swaps, keeping his allies alive at the cost of his own life, and sometimes not even losing that. So, it looks like finally Kefka will break the threshold. He tops out of the net worth, if only for a short amount of time. I'm not quite sure it's going to be long-lasting, but it's enough for the moment. It's enough to say that Team Toast, they're going to fight tooth and nail for this one. They pull back nearly everything they lost in net worth, experience nearly at equilibrium now. As Team Toast are fighting. They're fighting for their lead. KDA are fighting to move forward as well. This is a lot riding on this one. This is the last chance that these teams have to move on into the main regional qualifiers. And that's a big deal. Winning, or at least getting to a qualifier, not only solidifies your team, but getting past it. Imagine getting past the qualifier into the main event. You're guaranteed nearly a year's wages off that one. Just for getting to the main event. And you also have the chance of maybe Cinderellaing out into a couple places above, but we won't talk about that. Solon goes in for the initiation. They want Arthas. He gets forced out, but back further into the fray. The Primal Roar is out onto Solon, but Arthas is already dead. This time he does have buyback, though, as the Necronomicons are destroying Solon's mana pool. Back down to the bottom of the fight. Flen's continuing the fight. The Deafening Blast out from Kuz as he gets shackled to the tree that's no longer there. He'll drop himself in, trying to get away, but the Ghost Walk is not going to be enough with the amplified damage catching him out. And that was a buyback from the last fight, 100 seconds in the grave. His headstone being carved with a no buyback straight across the middle. And this gives plenty of opportunity for Team Toast to try to enact a push. Now, I don't know if they know that the Sven has his buyback at the ready, but no one else has got a buyback. So they win a fight here. This could very well be it. Meanwhile, 3 buybacks already for Team Toast. They will start a push, but I know they recognize that there is no buyback on the Invoker. They've got to recognize that by now. It just comes down to find the right opportunity to push. And one of the major things about this, they still have Black Hole. That was not used in the last fight, and now he's got the mana to cast it again. Arthas is to be very careful about his positioning. No God Strength at the ready. If he fights, it's got to be a perfect fight. And for the moment, it looks like the Rax in the top lane are now going to finally get taken down in their entirety. Massacre on the run. He's got himself with the Ghost Scepter, though, so even the amplified damage is not enough. Primal Roar is out, though, onto Flens, but Solon, he's got his Black Hole. It gets canceled, though. Did he stop it? What? What happened to the Black Hole? He had BKB. I don't entirely know. For the moment, though, KDA are losing their base. How did that Black Hole get canceled? Combat log. Target. Enigma. Interval. I think 40 seconds should cover it. That was a different one. Cast BKB. Healed. But I see nothing to stun him. Wait, is there MKB? MKB. Okay. That should... Okay. That makes a little bit more. Wow. All right. I'm the damage shouldn't go through, which is why I didn't show in the BKB, but I think the mini stun still operates. So yeah, that's probably what happened. My God. I feel like an idiot, but at the same time, that was too intense to just keep a steady mind through things. As another range Rax going down. Evil Arthas, though, is fighting around the pit. He's trying to fight down, bring down Kefka, but Kefka's already on the run. Looking to go toe-to-toe with Zacho, though. Kefka is now in a lot of trouble. E-skills, though, with a shackle, but the damage is too great. The God Strength is cleaving him down. And Hailrake will get himself a triple kill. Roshan not having gone down yet, but they don't even care about it, as Solon will drop. The base, though. The base of KDA is going down. That is the third and final range Drax to hit the deck. 2 buybacks available for Team Toast. And though the Aegis Immortality does go the way of Coods, who's picked up the cheese? It's like maybe they'll bring the courier out to it. Zacho? No, Zacho's got the cheese. Oh boy. Things are starting to come down to the wire for Team KDA. They lose out one fight, they're in huge trouble. But winning a Roshan fight like they did, that gives them plenty of opportunity to at least try to defend. I mean, they can fight Mega Creeps. They've got a team that can definitely deal with Mega Creeps. Evil Arthas will not take that one sitting down. But they've also got to be incredibly wary of the fact that buybacks are not really available. 3.5 minutes for Evil Arthas. He goes down. He didn't get the Aegis Immortality, so he's out for the count. And I'm just realizing something. I think I pinned it to an MKB to cancel the black hole. How the hell did he attack if he was being black holed? I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the replay for that one. That seemed like a massive turning point in that fight. To have the Sven survive there. Steph Style and his invisibility will look to scout out Hailrake, who may have noticed that he got blocked or body blocked there. The smoke will pop. They know someone's there at the very least now. Steph Style is still hunting, but in comes the fight. They want a Busha, but they're not able to do it. A Bashu, rather. Arthas, he's hexed, but on the run. The BKBs have all been popped. The Primal Roar from behind the lines, but that leaves Zacho isolated and without too much to deal. But the Primal Roar comes out solid before he's even able to get the black hole off. He gets dropped. Flen's fighting for his life, but it looks like he will go down. Meanwhile, into the mid lane, Arthas has to back off. Flens will continue to fight because of it. Actually blinks back, but no, Flens is dead. And Kefka using this time to try to create discord in the fight. Not able to so much as scratch a Rax, but still proving that they gotta be sure. They gotta get constant mind of their base. They cannot lose out anymore. They get mega'd and they're not able to solidify a push, then the game's not over for them. Again, they can defend Mega Creeps. They can come back from it. But game just got 50 times harder if it happens. And by the way that Team Toast is playing, I mean, they're certainly a team to make sure that they use every bit of the advantage that comes from it. But the first step is to actually get the mid and bottom racks down. And by the way that it seems KDA are pushing, looks like they're doing a really good job at keeping it from happening. As Team Toast holding on to as many buybacks as possible. They won't have to use Enigmas, probably not E-skills either, but Flens is going to have to drop in. 20 seconds, they can't risk to get initiated on. Solon, he's looking for his kill. 18 seconds for Flens. Actually, it looks like KDA are going to let that one come through. They're not looking for a push just yet. There comes back E-skills being moved all of 100 units. As Solon will look for the fray. They know that they're TPing out now, and this could be their opening. Or do they know? No, TP'd out without vision. All right. So they don't know that they're TPing out. They're not going to try to chase this one any further for risk of the attempt at a smoke turnaround to catch them off their guard. Solon, he'll start to test the waters here. Maybe try to scout someone out, anyone out. Blinks forward. He'll find, or at least think he finds Coods, but won't be finding anything. Zacho is in the trees. Invisible. Coods will make his way around. He's about to walk underneath the sentry ward. He's got to be very careful about where his positioning is at, because one magic missile out and he's as good as dead. Move down to the bottom lane though. Does he? He's not the one carrying the gem. It is going to be Zacho with the Gem of True Sight. So they're hunting. Solin, waiting for his prime opportunity. If he just midnight pulses the trees up towards the river, he might be able to find someone, but it's a TP out. He is well enough away. Kuz also will TP himself out of there. So for the moment, we're about 50 minutes in. And though it seems KDA have a huge kill advantage, the game is relatively even for a 50-minute game. The experience, okay, it's well an advantage of KDA, but the gold is right about even. And that goes to show the amount of effect that Kefka's had on keeping their net worth high. He's got the Ags, he's got the Scythe of Vice, and with the Desolator now, which is an interesting pickup for him, but the Desolator is more of a Rax killer than anything. He knows if he gets 5 seconds time of free time, without Glyph, without anyone TPing in to defend, he can take out one melee Rax. Given enough greed, he might be able to grab 2. So there will be a smoke up, and it seems Team Toast, they want to try to make something happen. They want to bring this game to a close. They know the longer it goes, the scarier and scarier it's going to become. But their only target right now is Massacre, the only one in the top lane going up against the lane of Super Creeps. This could be an easy kill for them. Kefka will move in. Looks like they want it. They are going to commit for it. Blink forward, get the kill, and then we'll begin to push. A lot of TPs are now coming back, but E-Skills, he's being pinged. Maybe KDA want to try to find a counter gank onto him. As Coots is caught in his Ghost Walk, will make his way past through the mid lane, but he'll be fine for now. Solin will grab himself a Gem of True Sight, and maybe that'll be what they need to at least keep a close tab on Coots. See if he walks a little bit too close to the fire or whatnot, but the gem should be revealed pretty soon. They should probably know he's got a Gem of True Sight by now. At the moment, they'll move through and through the mid lane, looking for a potential kill here. A bunch of Eidolons, or at least 3 of them, will start to do whatever they can, but there is a very hard task ahead of Team Toast trying to get a high ground push, and I imagine it's impossible without a major pick on either Coots or Arthas, who neither would have buyback. But at the moment, both do have buyback, so even with a pick, they just can't push right now. Maybe they wait for the next Roshan, about a minute and a half before we see the final timer for that guy, and that could be huge. Having an Aegis and Cheese on Team Toast, that would be a major reason for them to try and fight. I mean, give E-Skills any sort of way to survive through the initial onslaught, and things look very good for them. Because E-Skills' major problem is, though he's got a lot of damage, he is still very, very squishy. And once again, the gem proving its use, but also letting Coods know that he probably shouldn't be around there for very much longer. Make a move around. 50 minutes into the game. We've had about 48 kills. Nothing too above standard. The Shackle will come through, but it's not going to latch. There was a Hex, too. They really wanted Coods there. But it won't really amount to all that much. No major commitment being spent by KDA. Nothing baited out. Nothing really used. They will just go back and farm up, knowing that if a fight breaks out, they're fully prepared for it. Meanwhile, Flens, this doesn't look like a carry Slardar anymore. In fact, it feels like he has taken an offlaner's role. The offlaner himself, more of the carry now. So, at the moment, I do think this probably was the right call to make sure that Flens was more of a utility hero than a damage dealer. But it also gimps out the hero that they had committed for their safe lane. As I think that's the first scan I've seen this game. And it will show out that Sullen, or at least someone, is close by. And that means that it looks like KDA, they want to try to take a fight. They're feeling strong, feeling good. Zako moves in. He's got himself a Refresher's Orb. The longer they wait, though, the more chance that Kefka has to push. However, Coods, he calls it out with the Deafening Blast. He will go out for a TP away. The Hex securing his escape. That's the problem with Deafening Blast now. You don't get free disable. He just turns around, is able to get the Hex off, and use that time to TP himself away. But both melee barracks will continue to stand strong. A lot of commitment for a non-fight. And we'll go right back to shouting obscenities at each other by way of Wave of Terror. No one really committing. Arthas, though, he wants it. You could tell he wants it nearly full slotted, I think. If he wants, he could probably drop down the Sanjin Yasha for his next item, as he's got himself the Moonshard. Now not looking for the attack speed anymore. They're going to be able to force Arthas back, but they've got vision of him. And comes the Static Storm, though. Ibusha looking to try to stop the action for now. As they move forward, Flen's getting chunked down. Not really much to say about it as they move now in for E-skills. Nothing but a BKB to protect him. To swap back, Steph Styles there. Another Sacrificial Lamb play. Meanwhile, Kefka not nearly pushing as fast as he needs to be pushing. There is no racks going down, just a couple of Treants. Meanwhile, Shackle catches Kuz, catches Arthas, and comes the Black Hole. They'll lock them both in. Although Arthas, he's not going to go down to this one. He's going to be able to turn and fight. Throws out the Stormhammer, but he is going to get hexed. He might get brought down. Did a glimpse send Kefka back? It looks like it did. Arthas, he's dropping very low. He gets brought down, has to pop a buyback. Both of them will do so. And Kuz makes his move in. Solemn with the BKB, looking to try to lock him down, but in comes Arthas. He's going to be able to grab a nice and easy kill. E-skills will get brought down, and so too will Solin. All three of those dead have buyback. Kefka, he's putting a lot of pressure now on T4s this time. Ibashu, he has no way to defend against this one. Is this going to be a base race? Kefka, he's pushing in heavy for this, but he will back off, knowing full well his team's got buyback. One being spent, it is going to be E-skills. Moving on in as Ibashu cannot take part in this fight now. It's a 4v5. And KDA, they've got to be constantly aware of this. They'll bring down the tier 4, or the tier 3 rather, get the ranged racks, and won't even move in for the melee. Another buyback being spent by Solon. They got what they needed, and now they're going to disengage, but the attempt to disengage might be cut short. The chase won't be able to do too much as tier 4 is dead inside of KDA's own base. The range melee racks in the bottom lane's dead. The only one left standing now is melee in the mid, and they only lose their ranged mid. This means that Team Toast are going to move in for the Roshan attempt, and they should be able to do this rather quickly. The bird scouts it out, but there is no time to waste. Creeps are pushing in to KDA's base. The Aegis will go the way of Team Toast, and at this point, I think what might be smart is waiting for their buybacks to come back. But they know full well that the team to die first is going to be the team that goes down. There is no buyback. Some of the most important heroes in this game, though Kefka still be able to hold on to his Flens also has his buyback. Which, considering all said and done, with buybacks, with an Aegis of Immortality, maybe they don't even need to wait. Maybe they're just going to go for it, throw bodies at him, and hope it works. Arthas could be a prime target for them. They know that they're going against the full squad, though, of KDA. This could be real trouble for them if they mess up this initiation, but they'll make their move in. They want Massacre. He's got the Ghost Scepter, will force staff himself away. Meanwhile, Arthas, he's caught. They've got full vision of him. They'll hex him out. They'll shackle him in. Not even shackle, they just sprout. He's dead. 130 on the board. They'll lose Solon, or they'll lose Steph Style, but it doesn't even matter at the moment. Zako gets brought down. He's got buyback, but he's going to have to spend it. There is no forcing it. That won't end up resulting in him not coming back into this game. Solid moves in. He's eaten the cheese. He's still alive. Zako push him onto the lower ground. No, he's back up to the high ground. He does have himself the black hole, but won't be able to spend it. No time. Meanwhile, the Megas are moving in. Kefka has finished out the last racks. He's now a pig, but no matter what they throw at him, it's not going to be a punishment enough for how badly he just destroyed their base there. Mega creeps now spawning, everything going wrong for KDA after that fight. They're ancient at half HP. Hell, E-skills could just blink in, maybe hit himself with the power or the focus fire, and kill the racks with the BKB cast. Or the ancient, rather. Wow. But for the moment, it looks like we will start to slow things down a bit. And we see the true test of KDA's lineup. Can they hold off against wave after wave of Mega Creeps? Fate not yet sealed in this qualifier round 64. They still have every opportunity to move on. It's just going to be the hardest game, I think, they'll have to play. As coming back from Mega Creeps is not something that every team can boast that they've done. In fact, I think a very few select teams can even say that they've been able to hold off more than 10 minutes with Mega Creeps moving into their base. But One cool thing about going up against Mega Creeps is that if you buy yourself a Helm of the Dominator, guess what? You can have a little army of your own. All you gotta do is A-click them onto your base, and if anyone gets close, they will act as the first defender, knowing that they will at least have a little bit of time bought. But now that Sven will make his way back into the game, oh boy, Coots, he is way deep in this one. He gets caught here. I mean, remember, he did end up spinning his buyback. Oh no, the Mega Creep that they dominated. It's down, but it's not any worry. The racks are, the Ancients still standing, regenerating, not really taking all that much damage, and in comes Arthas, their primary defender. But it seems like it's not going to be enough right now. The creeps are still moving in, overwhelming KDA. And Team Toast are going to seize this opportunity. They smoke in. They're going to make their move. The final killing blow if they can work it correctly. But if it doesn't work, they've got to be sure at the very least they've got a couple of buybacks, which they don't. Flen's the one that doesn't have it. Kefka also doesn't, but Flen's the first to initiate, now being stunned back up onto the high ground. Pops his BKB, the black hole, onto Zacho, onto Kuz. They've caught everyone important. They'll get Kuz down, or sorry, they'll get Arthas down. Kuz in a lot of trouble, and yep, with Arthas going down, even if Kuz survives, it's over. The Ancients has fallen to the Mega Creeps. And that, my friends, that will be it for this round. Team Toast showing up to this game and proving that they deserve every moment of their position right now. Now, for what this means in the future, I believe that was the round of 64. And if history serves me correctly, they cut off, and the round of 32 doesn't play until tomorrow. But let me check that out, actually. For now, I won't have an answer. For the moment, that is it, guys. I mean, KDA put up a hell of a fight, and I got to give them a lot of credit. But damn if I'm not impressed by Team Toast. Resilience, their ability to stay in this game, their split push prowess, and everything about this lineup right now seems to be falling into a proper stride. So, again, well played to KDA, and thanks to those of you guys who joined and showed your support for either team. I'm Chicago Ted, at TedCast on Twitter if you want to follow me. Head over to my stream if you're in game. You'll see the title right there in the